Hi, I'm Sean, and you're watching Shopworx. On this episode of the 6-door build, I'm going to start tearing into these 3 engines. Over here I've got the one that's 7.3 to 92. It's originally out of that orange cab. That truck was a running driving truck. I'm going to be using the serpentine setup on that. And on this engine behind me here, this is a 6.9 liter. It's out of, I believe it's an 84 or 86, I can't remember. Ron, if you're watching there, may as well throw a comment on there, let me know what it was. I can't remember anymore. But this is the one I think we're gonna keep. It's a buddy's truck, and we ended up hauling the 5th wheel out here with it. It's got lots of power. Just had the injection pump done on it not too long ago, and a set of injectors on it as well. So we're gonna go through this one here. I'm gonna take the heads down and get Buddy to check them out. Machine shop a couple miles away here. Does pretty good stuff. Get him to check that out. I'm going to check the bearings on it. We got to put a cam in it. On this one here, this is one I went out and bought a transmission. That has nothing really to do with the engine, but I went out to buy the ZF. While I was out there, I said, "Hey, do you have any other, old body style Ford parts?" He says, "Well, I got an engine, but the engine's toast. It's got a turbo on it. You want that?" Well, yeah, I want that, Why wouldn't I want a turbo? So, gave the guy a little bit of cash and brought this back. So now I've got pretty much all the turbo parts, minus the downpipe and I guess the dipstick, because this was a manual. Just a different dipstick for the automatics. So I'm going to have to make a downpipe up to attach onto my Diamond Eye exhaust there. What I got to do, I guess, starting tomorrow, it's, I don't know, like 1 in the morning, so I guess later today, I'm going to have to tear into that, get the turbo off there, start stripping all the parts I need off there. I'm also taking the glow plug controller, the wiring harness, the rockers off the valves there. I guess these are Ford design, so I'm going to take them out of there. And whatever other odds and sods I think I might need. So, I guess let's get at her. Well, they've all melted off here in the last 6 hours or so. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the middle one's the one we're going to use, drain the oil out of it, take all the accessories and junk off here I don't need for sure. Evaluate what it looks like when I get it to that point. Gone. Pile of parts I don't need. We've got all the accessories pulled off this 6.9, and John's pulling the dampener off it. If we can. Like everything else is working out here. And I'm going to go and label the other engines here if I can figure out where the paint marker went. I've started pulling the ATS turbo off here, but I'm having nothing but grief. Everything's all seized up down in here on the exhaust. It's supposed to be a slip fit and it's not coming apart. So I'm gonna try peeling it off best I can. Right in here it's supposed to slip between the two. I'm trying to take these off and try to get it out, but haven't had much luck yet. Want to take the turbo in and see if I can get some parts for it. Not sure if you guys can see, but she's pretty stiff. Doesn't want to turn at all. This engine had water and oil, or still has, I guess. We're probably 3 inches high on the dipstick, so try to figure out what I can get for parts on this thing. Well, the parts pile's stacking up. That's majority of that stuff is stuff we're not going to reuse. I'm going to be just storing it for future projects. After a good long fight, got the turbo off. Still having some seized issues with the up pipe. It's soaking in the vise. Be soaking overnight probably. Hopefully we can get that apart. Had to tear everything else apart to get it out. I figured now's a great time to show the difference here between the old rockers and the newer style rockers here. These here are the new style, or newer style, I guess. You know, nothing's new on these. But these are the newer style. I'm going to be taking all these and using them over there. I think it's just the hold down, so I'm going to compare them once I get one off and just see whether I got to actually replace rocker for rocker or not. But I'll show you the other ones here now. Now these ones here, this is a different style hold down. This is made out of aluminum, and from my understanding it wears and your torque doesn't set up right as it wears itself. So I don't know if it's a torque issue when you torque them down or if it just wears and loosens off, but I hear there's a bunch of dropped valves and stuff because of these. So for what it is, we're into it this far. I'm gonna change them, upgrade it. Same with the glow plug harness. You can see these old plugs here with the straight blades. They're a 6-volt plug. Here you burn them off quick and they don't make that great of contact. So we're gonna go back to the normal 7.3 style. Like these ones here with the bullet end. They're a 12-volt plug. It's what we commonly use on just about all of ours. So that's that. I guess while I'm at it here, the back, this is the glow plug controller for the 6.9. Here there's lots of issues with them too, failing on, etc. Not a big fan of it there. I'm going to go with the 7.3 style. That's part of that harness for the glow plugs I'm going to change. We'll just put a plug back down in the head after. As you can see, this one here, it's got the new style. And plug for the head's right there where the other one goes into. So it's supposed to be a lot more reliable. We'll see. Had good luck with them so far. Never had any burnt relays or anything, so we'll use it. You gotta hold that plug there too. Yeah, it just holds that back end and sucks it down. Another bolt. What kind of bolt is this? 3/8 ratchet. Maybe not. Yep, this is good. Screw back up right now. Well, just like that, eh?
We're taking off the oil cooler there.
Well, that's what I was working on before you put a hole in the head, so you can do that. I'll start on the timing cover. While we're waiting, we can rebuild the oil cooler and stuff like that, eh? Remember the bottom oil pan bolt, you're pulling one of these. Well, I do not see any more bolts here anywhere. I thought it was a bolt, wasn't. Front cover off here.
the damn filter going. I can't even grab it.
There. Well, I'm gonna clean this thing out pretty good. Timing cover. Well, got the timing cover off. We're gonna end up pulling the pan after. There's a little bit of schmag down there. Hopefully we can get that out. I'll have to clean everything up later. This rag's doing no good there now. So, when the guy puts this together, you got to make sure you have top dead center on cylinder number 1, and there's 2 different marks on here. One lines up in the middle between the 2 marks on the other gear there. And the other one, I believe, is a Y. So the dots line up. You got your dot here and your dot down there on the cam, and then your Y would line up with the marks on the injector pump. So anyway, it's going to be easy to find which one's top dead center, obviously, with the heads off. So far I'm not noticing anything to be concerned about. There's a little bit of carbon buildup around the top there. We'll clean off a little bit of, I'm not even going to really call it surface rust, just crap that made its way in somewhere. This side's sort of the same thing. And the other thing is, when you get an oil leak, a lot of the times it's the oil cooler here. There's 2 sets of O-rings, and your antifreeze and oil goes between. So either the O-ring split and pisses the oil out, or O-ring split and you get oil in your antifreeze.
That don't look good.
Spare parts? Wonder what that spring's out of.
Probably through here somewhere. Well.
Still going really good. Need good clean out.
I have a feeling this would be part of your oil pressure.
Oil pressure leak. Oh, I bet you either there or right at the filter in that oil cooler. Oh, show the camera. Love finding stuff in your oil pan.
Sitting right on top of the... Sitting just like that. I guess that would be called a pre-screener? From one direction only?
Unless it's tensioner so you don't lose your pickup.
Well, proof in the pudding.
Been so long since I was able to work on something with actual material sockets. It's only been the odd couple of bolts on here that were metric. I think they've probably been replaced.
That's supposed to be done.
Somewhere along the way. I don't know what to say about the cam bearings. You usually change them when you put the cam in?
Not necessarily.
Short of that spring, I think I've been pleasantly surprised. I'm sure all the oil squirters are in here too. Well, I got a little update on that engine. I had my buddy come up here and have a look at the main and rods and all those bearings there, and he figures they're mighty fine for what it is. He said another 150,000 should be able to get out of there and without any issues. So we're gonna run with them. Worst piston bore run out was 3,000. So he said stick with it, and he said it's almost like new that way. So basically, I'm just dropping the heads off. He's gonna go through the heads real quick and see if they need anything. clean them up and get them back to me. So things are looking good that way. I thought I'd need bearings, but that's why I had an expert come look at it. So in the meantime, we're gonna get at her tomorrow. We're gonna change the cam out in it, put the caps back on I pulled off, torque them down, and clean it up, I guess, and start piecing her back together. Well, this here is my cam that's supposed to be the high torque monster. We're going to end up putting this one in there. It's supposed to drop the RPM for peak torque as well as increase the duration of the valves. So we will see how she goes. And as far as turbo goes, I'm trying to source parts for that old thing. So hopefully in the next few days we'll have some parts in hand. Well, I'm going to torque these caps back down here, and then we'll start cleaning everything off, the ones I pulled. I put lubricant plate back on everything I cleaned off there to check the bearing surfaces, so we'll have oil again on startup. And we'll torque these down to 39 foot-pounds for the rod bolts here. First, and then 51 foot-pounds, and then I'll go back over the main cap there and get the specs for it. Okay, out to 51. I'm gonna have the wife's coming up here, and she's gonna clean off a bunch of my engine parts for me, save me some time. John's not around today. 75, and I think 95, but I'll check again. Okay, everything I tore apart is now torqued back down, so it's just a bit of cleanup. Start with getting all the silicone out of the oil pickup. I love all the crap I'm finding in here. We're not talking just a little bit, we're talking quite a bit. It keeps coming and coming and coming. Somebody sure likes their silicone. Looks like a piece of dipstick. More. Finding other parts in here too. Looks like a roller bearing or a plunger or something. Probably goes with that spring we found earlier. Looks like I'll be doing some Googling where this came out of. Well, that's the oiled antifreeze cooler, and apparently there is such a thing as too much silicone. I don't know why people get carried away with this crap. I'm gonna have to push out all these holes now. Rod them all. Make sure there's nothing caught in there. push something through them. Anyway, what happens a lot of cases with these oiled antifreeze coolers is these O-rings get brittle and crack, and well, look at that. I just trying to pull on it, split it, and that's the cause of your oil leak. So your antifreeze goes through here, I believe, and your oil comes through this part of it. So you got an O-ring here and an O-ring here to separate the two. They both get brittle. You can get the oil into your antifreeze because the oil's higher pressure, or a lot of times just the oil side ring will split and it's right to the outside. It just dribbles out, and that's a pretty substantial oil leak when you look at a O-ring of that size with a split. Let's see if I can get this one. No, it's brittle too. It just broke. You can see all the little cracks. I don't know if you guys can see or not, but all the little cracks in it, here, there, everywhere. So anyway, that's why we're doing that. We're this far into it. Let's tear down and pretty much do all the seals. Get all the oil leaks, any problems fixed at a time here. Move this off to the wife to wash up and clean, and we'll keep at it. Well, I went at it with the Scotch-Brite pad and a little 2-inch grinder there. Cleaned her all up. Just waiting for some of the rear main plate there. Use some gasket remover on. It's a pain in the butt to get in there. I had to loosen the bolts off on the engine stand to be able to pull the plate. Cleaned the carbon out of the top of the cylinders there. Cleaned off for the fuel pump. I'm putting a block off plate on here. I'm going to go with an electric fuel pump. Clean the thermostat off there. And now the trick, I'm going to be doing the cam on here. So I'm going to end up having to loosen off the hex key here and probably pull it with a puller. We'll have to see how stubborn she's going to be. When you look up here, I've got piston number 1 at top dead center. I just lined it all up this way, so hopefully nothing changes and I can put it back together pretty easy. But you've got the 2 holes here that have to line up between the crank and the cam, and at the very top there's a Y stamped in up here. And I haven't looked yet, but on the injector pump I think there's 2 more Ys or 2 dots or something like that, and the Y has to be between the 2. So it's got to go back the same way it comes apart, keep time on everything. So we'll be pulling that out and swapping cams. Well, apparently I didn't have the camera on when I thought I had it on. So I started pulling gear off there, made sure the dots were aligned up and down there, everything's timed, top dead center. This lobe here, this is actually the fuel pump lobe on the cam. Works the fuel pump in the side there. This one's actually, I don't know if it's one piece or not. It looks like it might be. Not too sure. The other cam I've got, it's more like a pipe. It's another takeout from pick and pull I was going to use for a core. Didn't have a chance to send it back, but that one definitely you can tell is a separate fuel pump lobe. If the other camshaft doesn't have it, I'm not too worried about it. I won't put it in. This one here, like I say, just slowly rotate it around, don't pull on it hard, and she'll come out through the cam bearings. If it doesn't want to come, you just turn it a little more. Just catching on the lobe somewhere. And there she is. She looks like it's in pretty good shape for what it is. Well, I got the new cam here and the old cam over here. Just so you guys know, when you're taking these apart, if you're changing one, I had to pull the fuel pump lobe off. I'm not sure if you can see the wear on that sucker there. He's probably somewhere between a 16th and an 8th. Wore down. I'm going to put this back on. I don't know if I need it as a spacer or not, so I'm just going to be playing it better safe than sorry. And then you got, I guess you got the lobe on the outside. Then you got your spacer and your thrust plate here. So that all has to come off because this is the way I got the cam. So I need to reuse these parts as well as this keyway. So make sure you save that if you're sending one of these off to get reground. So I'm going to clean this up. It's got like a sticky, waxy, I don't know, I'd almost call it like Cosmoline, but I'm just going to brake clean her off. I'll give her a quick clean and put a bunch of assembly lube on it. So, and we'll put her back in. I'll check for end play. Hopefully be within spec and I don't have to do anything. And start putting stuff back together on it. Get this cam back in here now. Put lube plate on everything as I go again. A little bit on each lobe. I'll put some back on the rockers when I reassemble it. Each bearing. Still have oil in the other bearings in there, but same way it came out. Guide her back in. And if you need to get her in, you can rotate it till the lobes line pass through again. And there we go. Bolt her down. We'll check for some end play. I'm going to put that lobe back on there. I have a feeling I need it to space that gear. I don't think there's enough shoulder for that thing to stop on, so I'm not going to use it, but still need it, I guess. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a block-off plate now for that fuel pump. All I did is I've got some 3/8 aluminum here. Took the gasket that comes in the gasket set, traced it out, and cut it off and drilled 2 holes and round her off with a belt sander or the combination sander over there. I got no room to film it, so figured I'd at least let you guys know what I'm doing. So, apparently a big block Chevy fits that as well. I don't know for sure or not. All my other ones I just had laser cut, but I don't have that luxury right now. I'm just going to zap this off here in a few minutes and we'll install it. Well, after a bunch of time Googling and scratching my head and looking at other stuff and tearing things apart, finally come to the conclusion that that shrapnel is actually part of an old fuel pump. That rod there has about the same marks where the pump would rub for the arm, and it's the same length and same diameter. And also there's a spring back in there, and I'm assuming that would be that part of it. So I think I found the source of the extra goodies, and I'm glad to know I don't need them. We got the cam back in there, pulled the pickup. John flushed that out there today, and put a new gasket on it, put the pickup back on it. I'm going to be putting the front and rear cover on it, with the front and rear mains, put new seals in them. And we'll pop the oil pan on and we can flip her over and we'll be pretty much waiting for the heads.
Do the oil cooler yet?
Yeah, do the oil cooler, I guess. Put that on. So last night I got a little carried away in the module blast and cleaned off the intake here and then clear coated it. Also did the snail. It should be a lot easier to degrease now. And then I cleaned up the lettering on there, sanded all the rough stuff down, and gave her a shot of clear coat. So at least that'll look nice and shiny. Also blasted the valve covers and gave them some engine paint. And the oil pan that pretty tight in that blast cabinet, but I got her. So at this point I'm rebuilding the oil cooler here. Just a little public service announcement. If you have these apart, make sure these are staked in here really good and tight, because these have a habit of popping out. The newer models have a little C-clip that holds them in, and the same with this one. This one here is actually loose on mine here. I'm going to end up just center punching it, staking it in there a bit better. But that one there, same idea, has tendency to pop and fall out. So just something to check every time you wrench the filter off there, and make sure that one's in there good. So this one here is, I believe, is the bypass for the filter. And this one here is the pressure regulator, so kind of important, both of them. And that one blows, you end up not flowing oil through the filter, it takes the path of least resistance. This one here, you lose your oil pressure, so either way it can be catastrophic. So I got my thin O-ring in on the inside there. I'm just going to be snapping the other O-rings over top of here. You always put your thin ones in. Otherwise they'll cut going through, and these ones here are going to grease up and just roll them over and get them in, and then drive her in with a dead blow. So when you do these, you want to line this tab up with the actual housing there, and some of them actually have a alignment on the bottom as well. This one doesn't. So I guess I'll just make sure I line it up so it's square with the other one. And tap-tap-a-roo. Well, I screwed up last night, and I went and followed a manual I found for the 6.9 diesel online, and they say that you put your O-ring on here and you put your other O-ring in the cap. Well, from what I've been reading, first of all, I think we've always done them this way, where I put them on here, but I thought, hey, with the manual, you know, somebody knows better. And so I tried it that way, and never had a problem before, but I buggered this O-ring up. You can see the lack of thickness in there. Everything wanted to go cockeyed. And this one here with the same idea, put a bit of a groove in it. And before we just put it on, tap the end on, tap the other end on, you know, put a bunch of lube on them and done. So I guess that I'm going to go the other way. And I found this kit, the only one I found in stock in town on a Sunday. And it's got 4 of these small O-rings. I guess it's for an older style cooler where you need 2 on each end, and then the 2 big ones. So as long as I don't bugger anything else up, I should have a spare set now. And I went and mic'd them. This is the old ones that were in the cooler. They're .218-ish. The ones here, you know, they're a little square. They're pushed out from being jammed in there.
The ones I got that were in the kit there are .206, and these ones, because I just wanted to make sure they're, you know, proper O-rings, they're .206 as well. So anyway, if the guy's hard up, I guess the ES72519 will still do a 4-ring oil cooler or a 6-ring oil cooler. Don't know if these gaskets fit. I really don't care at this point. I'll check that out a little later on, but gives you 2 spare O-rings, I guess, for a 4 O-ring cooler. So clean this all back up again and lube it up and see if we can't get her together proper. Well, guys, went back to the old tried and true method, I guess, and got her pressed into place. Had to wiggle it a little bit to get her to go, but I think we've got it. So I definitely don't recommend putting the small O-ring in the end caps there first. I'm thinking I'm going to stick with this way. Well, got the oil cooler bolted on there and torqued down, so that's all ready to go. John's putting the new power steering pump and anything we can assemble, pre-assemble on the brackets here. Got the old one down there, but we're going to go with the Hydro Boost, so need to change the reservoir for the second return line. As you can see, there's no spigot there, but there is coming off the top on that one as well as out the bottom. So, and then worst part, I'm going to have to change all the hydraulic lines around, power steering lines around, and air conditioning lines around to make up for that 4 inches of lift. So anyway, at this point, starting to get the serpentine setup put on here. So this old 6.9 here, it had a V-belt setup on it. Engine out of that CN truck had serpentine on it. So we're going to go through and add the rest of it, so I got serpentine on everything. So at this point, I'm safe to say I think I can flip this over and start assembling on the top what I can do till we get the heads. Well, my next conundrum here was with the timing cover on there. You can't see the Y on the gear set, so I had to get in there with a little seal pick. I'm not sure if you can see or not. Probably better at this angle. Right here are these 2 white lines, the 2 teeth there. The Y sits in the center of that. And I go to put the injection pump back on. Everything's got to clock together on it. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using that pump there, because I know it's been rebuilt fairly recently. Like I say, a buddy of mine owned that, and he took it out, got the injectors done, got the pump done, everything. And not long after that, decided to part ways with it. So, and this one here, I want this housing, because that engine's going to be sitting down further in there. And you can get the extensions that'll raise your oil up, so it makes it a little easier, manageable to reach. You can see if one of these is sitting. This is a pick and pull special, just happened to be in there at the right time, I guess, to pull it. Okay, this Y here, that tooth has to go in between those two white lines there, so I'll probably be putting the white line on the other gear when we use it, and life should be good. Well, I'm waiting on the heads now and turbo rebuild kit and I don't know, whatever else. I'll get some parts tomorrow for either pulleys and fan belt and etc. So going to be shoving this off to the side for now until the heads are done, and we'll be moving on to a different part, I guess, for now, and come back to this. So make some room in here and bring her in, probably pull the tranny and transfer case out and double check that stuff's okay, and
do a shift kit in it. So.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll try to keep it coming.